Welcome to this special edition of Africa 360, the current affairs show at the forefront of news from your continent. This week, we speak to a man who has carved his name into the musical industry. Oliver Mutukudzi is singer, songwriter, and producer of numerous musical works. I'm Chris Marulane, and I'll be taking you on this musical journey with the musical Maestro. In this edition, he's an advocate of social change and a musical maestro who's taken African traditional music to new heights. In an illustrious career that spanned over 30 years, this week on Africa 360, we sit down with music legend and world-renowned storyteller Oliver Mutukudzi as we explore his work and philosophies. These stories and more coming up on Africa 360. He's not just a music legend. In fact, members of his band consider him to be somewhat of a father figure. For the past 30 years, he's touched the lives of millions of people across the globe. That's why eNews Africa's Mutukudzi-A decided to spend some time with members of his band so we can find out a little bit more about the man behind the music.
He's actually a legend. You know, when you're talking about legends, he's somebody that when he goes, his music will still stand. And when he's still alive like now, we want to see him as ever and ever.
He sings about life experiences. So that's what I love about his music.
His music is so inspiring. Yeah, that's the most thing that I like about his music. He's so encouraging us to keep on doing things in life.
Oliver Mutukudzi, or Tugu, is a pioneer of Zimbabwean music. And with more than 50 albums, he's popular throughout the continent and beyond. His message is one of social awareness, singing about drug abuse, sexual behavior, and HIV/AIDS. And it's made him one of the foremost activists of our time.
In his own words, Oliver Mutukudzi's first song was his birth cry. Now, decades later, he has harnessed that cry into a sound that is distinctly his. I am here tonight to find out from those closest to him, what is it that makes him unique?
What's nice about working with Oliver is you're free on stage. You just express yourself. It doesn't limit you. So you know it's just fun working with him. Like it treats me like his daughter. So I'm just so free around him.
There's no secret in what he does. Yeah, but it's the creative side. If you talk about that, he writes the music. And he's got sort of like a picture of what he wants, but he gives you that, but you are free to carve out, also kind of like create around that, and if it's good, he takes it.
His music has also influenced a new generation of artists on the continent.
I've always loved what he does, especially when he performs. He's such a great performer.
An old friend of Oliver's recently shared the stage with him in Johannesburg. It was the first time the two had done so since 1974.
Me and Oliver have been playing music together for a long time, since we were boys. Anyway, and we did a lot of, groundwork for Zimbabwean music. Yeah. We are the pioneers. Oh, yeah. And yes, and I'm really glad to be on the same stage with Oliver. Yeah. He's such a good character, a good musician, a good friend of mine.
Mutukudzi-A, eNews, Johannesburg.
Wow, awesome stuff. And on that musical note, let's get into it. Oliver Mutukudzi is known for incorporating indigenous harmonies into his specific variant of song making. So earlier on, I spoke to him about this distinctive sound that he produces that has now come to be known as Tuku music. And this is what the Maestro had to say about it. Oliver Mutukudzi, Samanyanga, as your totem is, thank you so much for joining us on
Well, thank you very
360.
much.
You are one of the most renowned Zimbabwean musicians of your generation, and you know the knowledge of Oliver Mutukudzi goes just more than just beyond the borders of Zimbabwe. It's right across the globe. How did you get to be so renowned in your career?
Well, I guess God has got something to do about it. And probably I'm lucky to be able to be doing what the people want. So I guess that should be the reason.
And I think you've a career that has spanned many, many years. I think to date you've produced more than 49 albums.
In fact, I'm releasing my 60th album.
Your 60th album.
Yes.
So it just goes to show that you are not just a talented musician, but also very prolific in your work. But let's go back to the beginning. Where did your love for music and performance and entertaining come from?
Well, I think according to my mother, who I truly believe knew me the earliest, my birth cry was the best composition ever for her. And unfortunately, no one was there to record. So anyway, I was so curious. I wanted to hear that too. But anyway, I just had this love of music, and because my parents were also musicians, so I think the inspiration came from them. And from there on, I was on. But my first recordings was in 1974.
One of the people you began working with was Thomas Mafumo in a band called the Wagon Wheels. How was that?
Well, I had done my recording as a duet with my sister, and I didn't like what I did then, so I went around shopping for a group to join, and lucky enough, my first spot was Wagon Wheels, and I had this song Zanmomotera, and I auditioned to join the group, and I played them Zanmomotera, and they all loved it. Said, "Okay, you're in the band."
Yeah.
So Thomas was part of the band in there, and he was my inspiration. And for a while we were doing cover versions, and but Thomas started doing his own thing outside the Wagon Wheels, using the Blacks Unlimited. No, it was Acid Band.
Yes.
Yeah, Acid Band before the Blacks Unlimited. So, and I thought, well, I think he's doing the right thing. These cover versions won't get me anyway.
Yes.
But I do have a story to tell. How can I do it? I think he's doing the right. So he started, and I followed suit.
Yes. And that story that you've been telling really led to the evolution and the beginning of what has been described as GT music. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, GT is really traditional. I don't even know who started GT music.
Yeah.
But I played GT music, and I'm very experimental, and I fused a lot of different styles of music. That's GT, Bakumba, Batanga. I fused Katekwe, and so on. And in that creation, that made me stand out differently, because I used to fuse everything. You could listen to that, so all those styles in every song of mine. I'm a self-taught guitarist, and I learned the wrong way.
Now, the interesting thing about GT music is that it definitely takes elements from many parts of the world or different types of genres, but there's a distinct Zimbabwean element going through that. What is that element? What is that element?
Oh yes, first and foremost, I'm Zimbabwean.
Yeah.
And whatever I do, it is Zimbabwean. All I've used is African music. I've fused African music into my music. And I guess I'm a self-taught guitarist, and I learned the wrong way. So most guitarists used to laugh at me at the way I play, that, no, you can't play like this, man. You can't do it like that. But I got used to that, and I learned later on, that's where the Tuku music part of my music comes in.
Yes.
Is the way I play the guitar.
Yes.
That's according to my fans.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, that Tuku music also had its beginnings in a very tense period in the history of Zimbabwe. Then Rhodesia, it was the height of the Chimurenga, the liberation struggle. And many musicians, including you, used their music as a way to express their discontent with the oppression of the colonial governments at the time. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, in fact, what I should talk about right now is purpose of song.
Yeah.
A song is to give life and hope to the people. And when you create a song, it's not a song, it's not a purpose for commercializing it.
Yes.
Getting more sales.
Yeah.
No. Purpose of coming up with a song is to touch the next heart. And if you touch the next heart, that song is a good song.
A lot of us in the younger generations really look to that material reward in a lot of the stuff that we do. And even in music, we've seen a lot of commercialism dominating the way in which compositions are made. And it may be an unfavorable thing to say, but when we compare the elements in your music with some of the elements that we see in contemporary music, there's a huge gap, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. In fact, when God created human beings and gave talent to people, He didn't mean people to commercialize it.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
No wonder why you find artists, people are difficult to pay artists. Okay, you do your good job, but they struggle to pay you. They don't want to pay because it wasn't meant to be for payment.
Yeah.
We don't get paid, we get appreciated.
Yes.
And for you to be appreciated, you have to touch that heart so that it appreciates what you did.
Yes. One of my favorite albums comes from this Tuku music, and indeed the song that I enjoyed the most was Mabasa. Can you tell us a bit about Mabasa?
That song is talking about the rate of people who were dying.
Yes.
That's in 1998 to the deadly disease of AIDS.
Yes.
So, and that time, it was a time where we were really working on AIDS awareness. And this song, I'm saying, hey people, look here. People, we are dying at a rate that's not unbelievable. Please, don't you think it's high time we find out why we are dying so much?
Yes.
Why don't we go back and start be responsible and try and take care of ourselves?
Yes,
So
yes.
that's the song talking about that.
In Africa, what we've seen is the exportation of many African elements in music, from mbira, which has been the origins of the GT kind of music, to many other elements like the kora, which is also heard and sometimes synthesized. Is this a good thing, that there's now an appreciation for these elements?
Yeah, that's purpose of song.
Yes.
I've done an album called Rudaviro of traditional instruments.
Yes.
And on this album, I'm playing some of the old songs I did with electrical instruments.
Yes.
Just to give an idea to these youngsters that our traditional instruments are not inferior at all. They're just as good as any other instruments.
Yes.
And if the world is appreciating mbira, marimba, kora, jukel, and so on, it shows that we are no inferior at all.
Yes.
Yes.
But There's a challenge though in that, because you have done something that many artists on the African continent have been unable to do, which is to remain relevant. You know, Sekuru Samanyanga, not to be disparaging. You know, you are now a grown-up man.
Yes.
But I know of teenagers who still find your music very appealing. What's the secret?
Thank you. Have a good reason
Yeah.
to come up with a song.
Yes.
If you have a good reason, then it's a song for human consumption, despite their ages.
Yes.
You see?
But that's interesting, because on the one hand, when you say the relevance of the song is derived from a message that you want to send across, there have been a number of somewhat controversial messages in your music. Some people say that in another album of yours, which was known as Vuma, Tolerance, you sang of Wasaka, which in Shona means, you know, you're getting old.
You're worn out.
You're worn out. And they were saying that there you were talking about the president of Zimbabwe, the president of your country, and implying that he needs to step down from office.
First and foremost, I'm glad that at least people hear it that way. And
yes.
A good song is not a periodical song. Okay, who else is not growing up? Who else is not running out? Okay, let's suppose Mugabe is not there anymore.
Yes.
What happens to my song?
Yeah.
You see, I don't write periodical songs.
Yes.
I write songs that work yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Yes.
And whoever used that in that sense,
Yes.
it can work against him too, because
Yeah.
I didn't write for one particular person. I write songs for people. I give life and hope to the people.
Now, you know what, Samanyanga, because when you say that, it begins to make a bit of sense, because a lot of people sort of want you to make these political messages, particularly considering what's going on in Zimbabwe. But you have intentionally kind of kept politics at arm's length.
You know, in my time when I went to school, I never came across the word politics. And for me to try and understand it now, I don't think it makes any sense. So I don't use what I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My son was more a friend than a son. He was doing what I do, and we did, what we love most doing together.
Other artists around the world have become very political. One of them was your former collaborator.
Well, remember, Chris, there are musicians.
Yes.
And there are politicians in music. You see, there's a difference. Because politicians can sing.
Yeah.
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 But is the purpose of song, what really do they want their song to mean?
Yeah.
Is it giving life and hope to the people, or is it giving a sense to a particular class of people?
Yes.
You see, it's not everyone.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe a true artist, be a musician, a dancer, a sculptor, a visual art, they're all above politicians.
Yeah.
Because when I come out of my country, I lift my flag representing everybody, including the politicians. I'm way above there. And I look down at politicians and protect them. You see? Now, if you are a politician, you lift your flag up. Okay, it's a Zimbabwean flag, but it's not way representing Zimbabwe, it's representing your people, a particular class of people, which is under the artist.
Wow. And in actual fact, you know, as part of that artistic aspiration, you've also been noted for your ability to champion the cause of women's rights. And here, your interaction in laying down the soundtrack for Neria, which was, a film which was, again, some acclaim internationally, was very beautiful. What was the inspiration around you championing women's rights?
It's not only women's right, everybody's right. Because when we did Neria, the storyline was about this woman who is being abused by the late husband's relatives. And I came up with a song that was talking about self-discipline, you see, and supporting the woman, that don't feel inferior because you're a woman. Fight for your rights. You worked for all this property and you have had these children with your husband, and all these relatives are coming in to try and take the children away and the property away. It's all about being self-disciplined enough to respect the next person.
Even a great man like you, Sekuru Samanyanga, must have people in the music world who have inspired you and who you look up to. Who are those?
My parents. True. They were just wonderful people, and I'm glad they made me who I am. And in fact, they formed me to be who I am today, because I use what they used to tell me.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And you know, it brings me a sense of discomfort having to ask you this, because it's very personal, Samanyanga, but you have suffered the loss of your own son at a very early stage, through a car accident. That must have affected you in a bad way.
It did definitely. And I think the whole of last year, I didn't do much in my creativity.
Yeah.
But I did a lot in performance-wise, because I was looking for comfort.
Yes.
And because my son was more a friend than a son, he was doing what I do.
Yes.
And we did, what we love most doing together.
Yes.
And I think talking about him more will help me de-stress. I think I'm one of the very few people in art who have managed to have time with their children and be on stage, perform together, and have a wonderful period of 21 years, you know.
But it does seem that you are emerging from this deep grief that you have felt. You've now released a new album.
I don't think I'm emerging out of it, no.
Yes.
No, but I have to do something. I have to, and I have to do some, maybe I have to do it for him, because he was going to do a lot. So I must do something, you know. But coming out, really, I don't see it. I think I have to leave it with it. Yeah, I've got to live with it.
And how's this new album? Can you tell us a bit about it? What can we expect from
Well, the new album is kind of special to me in the sense that it's a compilation of duets I've done in my time.
Yes.
It's got 15 collaborations.
Wow.
I've collaborated with Cesaria Ivora, Sipokazi, the Jezel Brothers, Julian Sepuma, Maureen Lilanda from Zambia, Eric Wainaina from Kenya, Rengo Madlingozi.
Yes.
You know, it's something that I cherish, and it's been very educative. You know, as you do a collaboration, you always learn something from the other artists, and hopefully, likewise, they also learn something from me.
Yes.
You see, so it's a special CD. Fortunately, I've got a copy now. I'm listening to the CD, and it's nice that you can tell how there's no artist better than the other.
Yeah.
But we are just unique. We are just different.
Wow.
But we got no competition. If you play the CD, you'll discover that artists have no competition at all. We are just unique.
And a final parting word for your fans, particularly those who aspire to achieve, heights of excellence that you have. What do you say to them?
I would like to say God doesn't duplicate talent. And for you to be in this world, you are there for a reason. The most important thing is to help our children identify themselves. Who are they? Most of us, we don't even know our children. We impose what either our failures or what we couldn't achieve to our children so that they achieve that. You want your son to be an engineer, you want him to be a doctor, but who is he really? Your son, your daughter. What is he? What is she?
Yeah.
If you know that, then help your child identify himself. Send him to school so that he can enhance what he or she already has. Not to tell him what to be. No.
Yeah. Sekuru Oliver Mutukudzi, Samanyanga. Tatenda Sekuru.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Africa 360. We'd like to thank Samanyanga, Oliver Mutukudzi, and of course the rest of his band members for allowing us to spend some time with him. If you'd like to leave a comment or join the debate on Africa, you can do so by joining us on Facebook, or you can follow us on Twitter, or drop us an email on africa360@enewschannel.co.za. Remember, you are the voice of Africa, so we would really like to hear from you about what you'd like to see in upcoming editions of your program, Africa 360. So, until next time, we look forward to bringing you Africa like you've never seen it before. Take care.